Reaction now. We are joined by Congress of Traditional Leaders of South Africa, Secretary General Zolani Mkiva, and he joins us now via our video link to discuss this a bit more further. Zolani, thank you so much for your time this evening here in SABC News. Now, there's been mixed reactions when it comes to the signing into law of the Expropriation Act. And of course, it's quite clear that one of the GNU partners there, the DA, quite upset by President Cyril Ramaphosa for signing the Expropriation Act into law. What are your thoughts as Contralesa?
Well, I didn't get to hear your question. If you may, you are not audible at all.
All right. I was just saying that it's, when it comes to the Expropriation Act, it's received a lot of mixed, views from political partners as well as those in the GNU, and I'm meaning political parties as a whole. And the DA visibly upset, by this Expropriation Act now being signed into law. As Contralesa, what are your thoughts on the Expropriation Act?
Okay, I will just assume the question because I guess you hear me clearly on your side. Well, in respect of this Expropriation Act, which has been signed by the President into the law now, as Contralesa, we take a view to say that this is a step in the right direction. And it is important that as a country, we accept any contribution which seeks to move us forward insofar as the question of the restoration of land to the African majority and for all the people who are citizens of the country to have a fair share into the land. The land question in South Africa has been very stagnant for quite a while. And the expectations of our people was that at this juncture, where we are in 30 years into the new dispensation, a lot should have been done by now. But little has moved. When now the President signs a law which seeks to break the deadlock so that we can move forward, I think the political parties that are busy trying to play with quite a very emotive issue of land, which have been waiting for such a long time, I think it's going to delay us further, and it is being unfair. And we think that those people want to maintain the status quo. We're not going to allow that to happen. We think that on our part as Contralesa, we want to applaud the government for this installment. And we know that this act alone is not going to achieve the total objective of the restoration of land in total. But we must appreciate this step and also make emphasis that we are sick and tired about people who want to politic about this question. All what we need now is the implementation so that there's a clear transfer of land, and where there is an opportunity to expropriate land for public benefit and public interest in the best interest of the nation. That needs to happen with immediate effect. This approach of people wanting to be academic and to play politics is really not helping us. Our people are yearning for real transformation in the country. Our people are yearning for real economic inclusivity. This is what we require, and that's what we are pushing for as Contralesa. Issues of reading one law with the other, I think those must also be articulated, because we'll be very worried with some people want to use certain clauses of the Constitution in order to block another imperative of the Constitution. We think that such attitude is working against the spirit of South Africanness. We are a nation that has a history, a very sad history, where the majority of this country was dispossessed of its land that is legitimately theirs. But now when we want to do the restoration of that land using the constitutional framework and constitutional arrangements, these people want to block it by going to court, and they are setting us up for something that we don't desire. We want the land question to be resolved legally, constitutionally. And we think that we only have one head of state in this country, and it is President Ramaphosa. We cannot afford a situation where one who is also appointed by the very same president, seeks to oppose what the president does. We think this really points to ill discipline, and there has to be consequence management in that respect. But they don't only disrespect the president, they disrespect the masses of the people of this country. We can't live in a country wherein it seems like there are people who are de facto commanders in chief, and yet we have one commander in chief in the country. We want to move on the question of land. 70% of the land is still sitting in the hands of the people who benefited in an illegitimate arrangement.
Yeah, all right. And
prior to this.
And Zolani, when it comes to issues around the land question, it's been a topic of discussion for many years in our country. And it's also quite an emotive topic, to touch on. And when it comes to those who are dispossessed in our country, do you think that with, the Expropriation Act now coming into law, that it can address some of the issues of the past?
Certainly, we believe that it can. But as I say, it is not an instrument that will deal with that matter in its totality. It is able to take us somewhere in the right direction. Because as I say, the majority of the land mass of the country is still firmly in the hands of those historically that were advantaged by the racial administration, by coloniality. So we are saying as an organization that this is the step in the right direction.
All right.
It's not perfect, but we don't need to wait for perfection. If we're able to move forward the country by way of transferring land to the majority, let that happen. And we're also making a point that over and above the fact that we've got this instrument, insofar as the communal land of the country, we're saying that one must be transferred without any wait of time. This is what we have been saying as Contralesa, and we have agreed with the government. We will be more interested in the implementation of this act by way of actually making use of it so that it does what we are told that it to do.
All right, Zolani, thank you so much for your thoughts on that discussion. That is Congress of Traditional Leaders of South Africa's Secretary General, Zolani Mkiva. They're just giving us his insights as Contralesa, saying that they welcome the implementation of the Expropriation Act.